Hi, good evening. If you can hear me, proceed and just comment on the comment so that I can know that you are hearing. Naftal, confirm that we are clear. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. That confirms that you can hear me and that we are okay. So before we kick off, thank you, Dominic, and thank you, Nancy, thank you, Leonora. So as we mentioned earlier on, we will be tackling managing a high performance culture, or building a high performance culture. And assisting us is one Mr. JAPHETH Alande. JAPHETH Alande is a gentleman that I've known for many years. He's a polished HR professional who loves HR. He loves HR. He loves the books. He has really made sure that he has read all the books. And therefore, you can be sure that what we'll be looking at today is indeed what he has written here in terms of digging deeper, reaching wider. And he's on the backstage. He will be joining us shortly. But before that, before we go deeper into the session, please type in your questions, the ones you will wish he handles. That will make my job much more easier. And Alande, once you are ready, you will drop me a message, and then I will proceed and add you to the front stage. So, with your permission, I will just walk you through who Alande is for you to get to appreciate the journey that he has walked. So, from a personal level, when I joined IHRM, I met Alande during the sessions we used to have for the HR professionals. We used to do meetings here to bring HR professionals together. And so we will drink tea and we will eat something. We used to call it sambusa at Pride Inn Hotel in town. That's where we used to meet and build each other. So we've developed quite a very strong relationship, and it has led to many things. And I believe that even as you touch base with him, you will get to benefit just like I have done. Alande, um, I will just walk him through. I will walk you through his story, and then from there we can move on. So Alande is currently pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in HRM at JKUAT. Something that I know, even once he gets this philosophy, he will still wish to go for another. As I read through, you realize that he has really gathered quite a number of hats. So he also holds a Master's of Science in Human Resource Management from JKU, the same university. He's done a Bachelor of Business Management from Moi University. He was in the same school where I was for his higher diploma in high human resource. He did the diploma in human resource from Kenya Institute of Management. He has also eaten the word of God so deeply that he went to Pan-African Christian University to pursue a diploma in theology. He's also pursuing a Bachelor of Theology at PSU University. And the reason he's also done CPA up to Section 4. Like I mentioned earlier on, we are in a place in HR where it becomes important for you to understand numbers, and therefore is a Section 4 of CPA. He is, if you see me saying CS, it doesn't mean that he's a cabinet secretary. No, he is a certified secretary. And therefore, if you have a company, you're looking for secretarial services, he's qualified to offer secretarial services. ALANDE is a certified professional mediator. So, Mary, if there is any fight between you and Naftal or any other person, you can be sure ALANDE will mediate and ensure that there is peace. Today, many cases are now being sorted out of court, and the people who have done, who are actually certified professional mediators, are the ones who will mediate through and ensure that there is a solution. Alande has done, he's a certified human resource professional. I remember we sat with him through the counseling course. That time, counseling was quite tough. And personally, I failed 2 times. I don't know how many times Alande failed, he will tell us. But I failed 2 times. And the third one, I managed, I made it through and got through the paper. He, other than just CHRP, has also been certified by SPHRI, that is senior professional. So he's a senior professional in human resource by CPHRI, and currently, again, pursuing a Bachelor of Law from University of Nairobi. He's on the 4th year. So you can imagine how many degrees he's actually pursuing at this moment. This guy loves books. If you enter his house, the wall is full of books. Alande has done Senior Leadership Development Program, which is offered by the Kenya School of Government. And Alande is currently the acting chief manager at the Kenya Revenue Authority in charge of performance management. And therefore, you can be sure that you're talking to someone. Someone who will be speaking to you is actually speaking from real action. He's in charge of performance management, like I mentioned, and previously worked with Ken Place Group in Thika. He's worked in Western, that's near my home, West Kenya Sugar Company. Prior to that, he was at Bamburi Cement. Bamburi Cement really molded him. And before all this, he was at Pwani Oil Products when the company was still in Jomvu. And earlier on, he had done a stint at Palmland Pharmaceuticals Limited. So quite a story here. Alande is a former council member of IHRM. He did that role for 4 years. And during that time, these guys engineered a change. They really worked on the act that you see today, the IHRM Act. He was really part of the pioneer team that worked on that. Currently, he sits on the board at the College of Human Resource Management. That is from April 2021. And he's also a certified subject matter expert in Human Resource Certification Institute, that is HRCI, based in Alexandria, USA. Alande is a subject matter expert at KRA, and he is a court-annexed mediator. So like I told you, and an arbitrator. So like I told you, if you have any case, he can be able to deal with it outside. He's a full member of IHRM, and is a member of Institute of Certified Secretaries and a graded governance auditor. And therefore, that means you have a board. He can be able to still audit and give his report. Alande has done 7 tailor-made courses from Lafarge University. we are working on launching a university at Pwanuel, and therefore we'll be borrowing a lot from him. And he's a resource person for JKUAT, Kim College of Human Resource Management, FKE, and among others. He does quite a lot in terms of resource, especially in the area of human resource and um, management in general. Alande loves watching movies. The only problem is I don't know what time he watches movies if he has to do for 3 degrees at the same time. He does a lot of movies, especially around cross-examination in legal practice. He told me he loves dancing. That one I can't confirm. I can't also reject. I think the only thing that we will do when he comes to Mombasa, in Mombasa is my neighbor. He helped me get a place here. And therefore, when he comes to Mombasa, we will put him to sport, to dance, so that we can check whether what he says is true. In terms of the hobbies, he also likes hiking. We will be going to Taita Taveta soon for, and he will be joining in. That I can confirm. He doesn't have a producing stomach like mine, and therefore that we can confirm. Though I've given him only 3 months, then I will also be okay. So that's who Alande is. He loves so many things that I can't mention, but he is a great man who has supported many young people that he works with. For this session, like I mentioned, I'll be teaming you up with some of these faculty members we have. And therefore, I had taken one Mary and Priska, who Alande will be working with throughout their journey. Feel free, engage him. Besides them, any other person who feels like reaching out to him should be free to reach out. But for purposes of the 6 months, Alande will work with you, Mary, and Priska throughout your HR journey. So anything you feel like reaching out to him, you feel free and reach out. The topic today that we've chosen today, the issue around building a high performance culture, like I mentioned, is so critical. Reason being that organizations exist for a certain reason. And therefore, if we are able to put measures into place to ensure that the very reason that we exist, we're actually delivering on it, then definitely the two things will happen. One, the organization will be in a place where it is sure of continuity. And for the individuals, then you are assured of 1A, 2A, a job, and the 2B, your own growth. Because when you look at performance, it does not necessarily look at how you're performing currently, but how we can make you become even much better. And therefore, it becomes quite a great topic to listen in. And therefore, with your permission, I will be able to check on him and bring him on stage. I would have loved to see questions so that we know exactly your expectations. And I think you need to type in your expectations so that even as he comes in, he knows exactly what your thoughts are, and he can be able to attend to it. And therefore, in the comment section, just put in your expectation as I quickly check on him and bring him on board. And therefore, you have only 2 minutes to type in your expectation as I bring him on board. Thank you. A minute. Feel free. I can't see expectations coming through. Yeah, so Dominic has gone fast. He's saying that he will want to get to understand the performance management tools and how to utilize them for high performance culture, for driving a high performance culture. Thank you so much, Dominic. You can imagine by posting that question, that means we will not leave that unanswered. So thank you so much. Any other person who has an expectation? It's always important you come in with an expectation so that then by the time you leave, your expectation is filled up. Even if you have come in for fun, feel free, type in that I'm here for fun. It will still be okay. So I'm waiting for two, three more. Then I now bring him on stage. So type in, feel free to type in as I add him on stage. Yeah, type in your expectations. Yeah, thank you, Priska. Metrics for building a high performance culture. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Priska, for your question. For your comment, rather. That's metrics for building a high performance culture. Thank you. Any other? Okay, thank you, Mary. You're saying what is considered a high performance. Thank you for that. Thank you for your question, for your comment or your question. Any other two? The comments you are putting here are very critical. They will help us to ensure that all the areas are properly covered. So I have three now. Alanda is coming through, but I have three. That is tools, metrics, and what do we see as a high performance, what is considered as a high performance. Thank you for that. Faren or any other person, go. I'm looking for two more so that we properly cover this without any challenge. Winnie, thank you so much. What are the strategies for building a high performance culture? Thank you. These are the questions I needed because they will help us. They will be able to help us to respond quite well. Thank you, Leah. And even if you have any issues you've ever encountered in performance and you want it dealt with, that will help. So Leah says, how to move an existing organization from a status quo culture of average performance to high performance without getting backlash. Good. These are practical, real issues, and they will help us in our conversation. I believe once we get a grip of this, then they will help. Lynette, thank you. How to handle a performance review meeting effectively. Thank you for that. Very good. So I'm waiting for one Tekla, one Farren. Farren is one of our faculty, currently working with Coca-Cola. And he will, at one point, I can see he's here. Maybe he can introduce himself. That will add value. So we have three of our faculties here. That is Farren. We have Dominic. Dominic has been with us, so you know him. We have Naftal online. Naftal has been with us. You know him. Let me just put on Farren so that he can introduce himself, tell us what he do. And Farren, I will be happy if you also briefly just mention how or where you place performance management at your current place. Farren, let me have you on stage. Proceed. Your mic is okay? No, it's on mute. Yeah. Thank you, Farren.
Please confirm you're able to hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Farren, if you're in a place you can have your video on, it will be good for people to see how old you are. That will be okay if the place favors you.
Yeah, I think I'm actually busy.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Just a second.
Okay. Yeah. As Greg has mentioned, I think my name is Farina Luda. And for me, I think first part will be I've actually attended a lot of programs hosted by Greg himself, and very many other people actually in Mombasa actually as yes. So my journey actually started off in Mombasa. I don't know if anyone here knows there's an entity called Mainland. So that's where my journey started off before I actually moved to Pwani Oil, which is in Kikambala, and currently I actually work in Coca-Cola at the main office here in Nairobi. So just working for those three organizations, I think I've had an opportunity to actually understand performance management at very different levels. And the one thing that is actually certain is that performance is very critical for all those three FCMGs that I've had a chance to actually work with. Now, in terms of performance management currently, as we are from our current model, um, unfortunately, we have a group of unionizable and non-unionizable employees. So, unfortunately, for our non-unionizable employees, we subject them to performance reviews, but then we have key performance indicators which we actually basically track on a daily basis in general. But then when it comes to our management team, we're actually having a lot of changes which are coming through, especially from the top leadership. Our reviews are structured around biannual reviews. So that was basically reviews after 6 months. But currently, we are putting more emphasis, especially on performance management, continuous discussions, especially with the managers. So we're shifting from a model where we're trying to tracking performance indicators twice a year, but now we are moving those conversations into quarterly conversations. So it's a very, very exciting space generally, and especially if you're able to connect the performance management to how the organization actually eventually. So I'm excited for this conversation. Lots of learning to actually gather both from the presenter, Mr. Alande, and also gain extra insight, especially from you guys as well, and from the questions and the interactions. Yes, so that's all for now. Greg, thank you.
Thank you, Farren. Thank you so much. And you asked if someone knows mainland. Actually, Tekla is here. Tekla took over after you. She's part of this group, and so you are well represented.
Oh, she works at Midland.
Yes, yes, she's the one handling mainland at the moment.
Okay.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, Emily, thank you. What's the difference between success and performance? And how do you measure success performance for a new organization? This will be handled, don't worry. Then and Farren, read through because some you will take them on based on your current practice. Winnie has come again. She's asking examples of real life case studies and best practice organizations that have a high performance culture where one can benchmark. So I know Alanda is trying to join in, and as he does that, Farren, just read this last one. I happened to when I was at Pwani as a manager HR, I got an opportunity to be attached at CCBA, that's Coca-Cola in Nairobi. And it was quite an excellent moment. It was 2 weeks for me, but that was an excellent time looking at how they do things. And therefore, I believe there is one or two items to pick from. And therefore, Farren, as I check on Alande, you can try respond to what Winnie has indicated here. That's the last item on the chat. Maybe giving real life case of where you are currently.
Okay. So I think in terms of performance management generally, one of the most critical things to understand is it's a continuous process. So I will not say that I'm going to measure performance maybe say after 6 months. So in terms of practice, especially for us, what we do, we really, really try to empower both our team leaders as well as the employees themselves, actually. So, from a production aspect, I think at the start of every year, every organization tends to have its own strategy. So, there are numbers you're actually driving at the end of the day. You also have costs that you're probably driving at the end of the day. Maybe you're also looking at employee engagement at the end of the day, right? So, what we've done in terms of best practice is making sure that all those KPIs are actually visible to the people. So, because at the end of the day, that these people actually drive the KPIs. So, ideally, what we do is we have what we call them vision boards. Yeah. So for a vision board, it's just there to, as the term suggests, it's a vision so that you're able to see basically. So for the vision board, what happens is, let me take an example. Maybe you're in a manufacturing entity, for example. So let's say you have the production area. So probably for you, you're looking at certain elements. Maybe one you're looking at output. So probably you have a monthly output, which is now broken into daily output and shift wise eventually. And then maybe also looking at maybe safety in terms of how many misses are we having, or any injuries if at all. Then also looking at probably cost and all that. Um, then you're also looking at maybe absenteeism and all those things at the same time. So in terms of best practice, what we do, the visual boards actually have have a simple breakdown of our KPIs, which is actually understandable to the employees. So what happens is on a daily basis, we actually have their level. We have, let me just put them in a simpler way. We have meetings which occur in levels. So the first meeting that occurs in the day will actually between the shop floor team, who will actually go through the KPIs at the start of the day, and this is what was expected. We've been able to meet 1, 2, 3, discuss any challenges that they are able to face, and solutions that were actually put in place. So at the end of the day, the only thing that is actually being escalated to the next level are those areas that actually require support or intervention from the higher managers, essentially. So that happens from the very, very junior level all the way to the top management level. And the meetings are usually very, very brief. The meetings actually last for around 10 minutes at the maximum. So basically, you can review all the KPIs within the day, state that these are the hurdles that we're facing, this is the support that we require, and then that is actually escalated to the next level. So through building such a culture, the good side to it is that you actually get to track your performance on a daily basis. And by the time you actually get to probably close to the end of the month, then you already have a clear picture as opposed to a scenario where you actually probably just review your performance maybe at the end of a certain period. So, in terms of best practice, that is something that we, as an organization, that we embrace a lot. And the meeting also encourage continuous conversations between the managers as well as the employees on a daily basis. I hope I've been able to answer you, Winnie.
Wow. Thank you, Farren. It's good that you, surprisingly, I told you to come here at around 4, and you've contributed heavily. Uh, Remember, we said that these sessions will only be good if we can actually put into practice what we learn. And therefore, he's just walked us through a very simple one, that is a vision board. And what I gathered is that from the vision board, you have your daily deliverables, you look at the hurdles, you escalate to what is stopping you from moving on, and you have a clear picture of how you are performing by the 10th, by 11th, and you can be able to come up with your corrective actions. And one item that I added on, the topic here is how do you build a performance culture? And I believe what Farren has walked us through can be one of the most simplest methods to ensure that that is in place. And therefore, Farren, thank you so much on that. We will still be calling you on to add on one or two every now and then. So, from what Farren has shared, we will now make sure that for all of us, wherever we work, that becomes the first one to implement. We have ALANDE now on stage. ALANDE, I know you don't like hair. You make sure that you've removed all the evidence of white hair. So if you bring your photo, we will confirm that what I've said is true as you proceed on from here. Please, Alande, have your camera on so that we see if you have hair or it's still missing. Thank you. You can unmute Alande.
Okay, can you hear me and are you able to see me?
We can hear you, and we can
Okay.
confirm that you don't have hair. You've disappeared. Okay, it's coming back.
I hope now you can see me.
Yes, we can see you. Now I will move away from the screen so that we give you all the opportunity. Welcome, ALANDE, and well done for the job you are doing at CHRM. Good job. Speak to our good people. Nancy, thank you so much for your comment.
Okay, thank you so much, team, and I must first register my apologies for running late, but of course I was on the background hearing everything that you have been raising in terms of performance management and inculcating a high performance culture. Are you able to hear me clearly, Greg?
Yeah, able. Just look at the camera a little bit, but we can hear you. Yeah, that's better.
That's better. If I did like this, would it be better?
Yeah, that's much better. You can now carry on.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you will be screening the presentation when I tell you so that you can go through it. Yeah,
Yes,
so
I will.
basically, thank you for the team. I've heard of what the two colleagues have spoken in terms of performance. And I like the aspect of the vision board because the vision board tells you where do you want to go, and you are able to have a look at it. It reminds you when you get in, oh, we are supposed to be here. Especially in terms of safety issues, the vision board tells you where are you in terms of incidents and accidents and the near misses and all that. Yeah, so thank you, Greg, for such a wonderful introduction. You know, sometimes you are introduced until you wonder, was that myself or they have called another speaker? Yes, but thank you so much. We have a long journey with Greg, as he has said. We have walked this journey of HR together. This is my field. I eat HR, I drink HR, and I have taken a lot of focus on performance management in the last few years. It's an area that have very few experts, and I think Greg, you will confirm that when you want someone who has a hands-on skills, knowledge, experience, skills, and abilities in managing performance, then you find there are very few. At least a lot of HR people have gone into ER. So ER, we have quite a number, but you want someone that has hands-on experience on performance management, then you start to wonder. So I want us to run through high performance culture. So high performance culture, how do you build a high performance culture in your organization? And that is a very, very important thing that you need to know. As a HR professional, every time the institution tells you that we are performing poorly, and it is the HR being asked, why are we performing poorly? The answer lies with us that we need to give the answer to this question of poor performance. And why, you know, when you talk about a culture, it is something that, you know, this is how we do it here. So when people have a culture, when people have, say, a safety culture, you don't have to keep pushing people to be safe. You don't struggle with people to do reverse parking and say, oh, I've seen people have not reverse parked. That is lack of culture. So when you have to struggle with people to sign performance contracts, and I will be later in the presentation showing you our compliance level. So if, say, Coca-Cola has 2,000 employees, we simply want to see 2,000 performance contracts. So don't say, oh, you know, people have there are these 30 people who have not done it. As we follow even the last person. So if, currently in my cluster, I handle 4,250 staff. So I cannot rest when I have seen 4,249. That is not acceptable. You have to give an account for everyone. And because you are wondering, how am I managing that? Because people have already developed a culture. The top management and the top leadership have already put a culture that it is not something you are going to negotiate, that I never signed my performance contract. It is something that the dates come, and it's not just doing it, but within the specific time frames. You need to be monitoring on a monthly basis or daily. There are certain departments that require to monitor even their performance on a daily basis. So let's go to the next page. You just see the outline of the presentation. I would want to deliver this in the next 30 minutes. As you can see, we are looking at the introduction to performance management, and I want to help us to be clear on certain terminologies that we use in performance management. That is very, very key. And then we need to look at the performance management philosophy, because performance management must be premised on certain philosophies that will help us to inculcate this culture of performance. Then a bit about the performance management process, the 6 steps of performance contracting. Then how do you do performance reporting? Yeah. Then as you do the reporting, how do you interpret the reports to help you to build a culture of performance? Because you only build a culture when you act on those reports. So if our colleague from Coca-Cola says that this is the vision board, the vision board says that we need to do 5,000 pieces of these drinks in a day, and you have done 3,000. So do we just go home and sleep that, oh, by the way, we were supposed to do 5, but we have done 3. So, by the way, some of these things you cannot control. No, we have to scratch our heads and say, if we set to do 5,000, why have we done 3,000? When I worked at West Kenya and we were doing 5,000 tons of cane on a daily basis. The day we do 4,500, we don't go home and sleep and say, oh, by the way, we just missed the target by 500. We ask ourselves, where did we go wrong on a daily basis? When you do that, you develop a culture of high performance. Then we look at the tools. What are some of the tools that we need to use in terms of building a high performance culture? We're going to look at appraisal and validation. There is an appraisal process and the validation. When you carry out a performance appraisal or evaluation of your performance at the expiry of a contracting cycle, you do it yourself. That is an appraisal. But the same scores should be subjected to a validation exercise. In validation, what we are saying is that, by the way, you have scored 97. We do not doubt it. Can we confirm that this is really 97? Then some of the emerging issues when it comes to performance management and building a high performance culture. Yes, so the next slide. Yes, so what we are saying is that measuring and managing employee performance allows the organizations to properly gauge the efficiency and improve their productivity. And I will talk something shortly on productivity. So performance management helps to set expectations from the beginning of the performance cycle. So you do not, when you are starting your year, depending on when your year starts, if your year starts in January, we need to sign a performance contract that this is what I expect to deliver by the end of this contracting cycle. You don't do a performance contract at the end or the tail end, in the middle. Or so the first thing when you report in January, if your year starts in January and ends in December, is to ask yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to achieve? If you are in Pwani Oil, and you set to ask yourself, what is the revenue target that we want to achieve for the year 2024? At the beginning, you don't allow people to work. Then at the end, by December or November, you are saying we are supposed to bring 2 billion. No, we start the year and say we want to bring 2 billion. Then you put into place, what are the strategies? How do we ensure that we bring 2 billion? And that is the discussion that you have. This discussion happens at the setting of the targets. And then the review, you don't just say, no, we have set the targets, everybody has signed, we can now sleep. No, you have to monitor on a continuous basis. And by the way, I talked about performance and productivity. Once the organization has matured to some level, we now depart from just performance to productivity. In productivity, we are saying, today, if you are saying Pwani Oil, for instance, you want to do 2 billion for this year, 2024. So you're saying, oh, by the way, for us to do this 2 billion, we need to hire 100 sales team. We need to buy this kind of vehicles and all that. So you said to do 2 billion, you have done 2.2. But now productivity, so in performance, you say, oh, we have performed. We said to do 2 billion, we have done 2.2. In productivity, we ask ourselves, what is the input versus the output? So if we, in terms of our costs, we manage to bring 2 billion by spending 200 million. Now, we have used 400 million, but have only managed to do 2.2. So in other words, in productivity, we are saying you are less productive. By the way, you can be found to be more productive with a lesser achievement. Say you have done 2 billion at 200 million, instead of doing 2.2 and spending 400 million. That is the discussion that now, if our organization has matured, you move from performance to now productivity, where you question costs. If last year this was our sales and this was our expenses, this is what we put in. How comes that after doubling our expenses, our performance has not even moved by half? Those are now the tough questions that we ask ourselves. So performance management is a very key component in any organization. By the way, if you are ever dreaming to become a CEO in your entire HR career, this is one of the key areas, because you'll find an organization, they'll tell you, this is where we are, we want you to take this organization from here to here. That can only be possible when when a high performance culture guides you as the CEO. Next slide, Greg. Yeah, so here, performance management, as you said, I told you about some terminologies, is a systematic process by which an institution ensures that all her or its employees are making a valuable contribution. So it is a process. You are starting from here to here. People mistake performance management and performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is a component of performance management. So you set your goals, you monitor, you report, you do your appraisal, you manage consequence. Then the goals, what are some of the goals? So the goals are short-term objectives set for specific work in the employee's current position. So you need to ask yourself, what are the goals What are the KPIs that our colleague from Coca-Cola was talking about? What are the KPIs that you need to deliver for this particular year? So I'm supposed to recruit, as a HR expert, I'm supposed to recruit 30 engineers this financial year. So that is your goal. That goal is broken into initiatives. So every objective must have initiatives, and I will discuss about that also as a terminology. So the performance contract, I've had some HR people asking me, is the performance contract different from the appointment letter? And I say they are totally different things. So your appointment letter is different from your performance contract. So you need to sign a different performance contract, different from your appointment letter. Yeah. So it outlines what is it that you want to achieve within a specific period of time, and we are going to have some discussion as to how do you come up with a performance contract in line with your role. Then there is this terminology as a smarter. Most of us are familiar with the SMART objectives. We have added an S before the S and also an A after the T. The first S is that your goals should be stretching. You know, I see people talking about a contract, something that they can achieve within 1 month. And then they jump and say, you know, me, I've met my target for the year and all that. Let me tell you, this target, sometimes it moves. So if you're supposed to bring 200 million and in the first quarter you've already brought 300 million, do we say now you just sit down and say, I've met my target and all that? And that does not mean that you keep on changing the goalposts. What we are saying is that your objectives must be stretching. It is something that you should sweat and say at the end of the year you feel that you have really put in effort to deliver this. It's not something that within 1 month, 2 months, you are done and all that. I saw some guy, I was carrying out a validation exercise, and then he had put a target of 200,000 for the whole year, and this came one. So he comes the 6th month, he's very happy that he has met 250. When the potential of that area is 10 million. So your target must be stretching, but not unrealistic. I want us to be clear on that. Some people say, but you know, when you make it this, you know that you know it is stretching but achievable, not unrealistic. The next is that it has to be specific. What is it that you want to achieve? You want to recruit 30 engineers in the next 1 year. So is that specific? Yes. The first A is that it has to be M is measurable, is something that you can measure. So at the end of the performance period, can you measure and say this is, you set to do 30 engineers, you have done 20. Something you can measure. Don't just say recruit engineers. So when you write a contract like that, recruit engineers in this year. So the question is, how many engineers and when? Yeah, is it something specific? Yeah. You can also say, when you say you recruit one engineer, that becomes your work for the year in terms of recruitment. So once you recruit one engineer and he has reported, you now say, I have met my year's target. That is not stretching. Then, is it something that is achievable? That is the next A. Is it realistic? Realistic. There's a guy who contracted to build a police station in a region. During the appraisal, he said that, you know, I realized that you cannot set up a police station. This has to be the inspector general. The inspector general has to gazette that area, and then he has to post a specific officer at a given rank. That officer's rank cannot even report to a civilian. But you committed and you have signed in your performance contract to contract. So you have to be realistic in what you want to achieve. And you have to put time. I've seen people put are not clear on when they have to achieve something. So if you are to bring uh, this kind of revenue, that revenue has to be brought within a specific period of time. And then I will, in terms of the philosophy, there's something I will talk about that on the philosophy, about even when to deliver that kind of performance. The next, the next slide, Greg, I think the issue of targets, we have spoken about targets. What is it that you want to achieve? Like you want to increase customer satisfaction. To most HR, you are familiar with increasing employee satisfaction. So you want to increase your employee satisfaction from what to what, within what period. So the baseline you have is that maybe your employee satisfaction is at 60%. You want to move that satisfaction from 60 to 70 or 60 to 65. That is a target. And in that target, by June 2022 or June 2024, that is what you want to achieve. So what are some of the initiatives or the specific tasks that you need to do? So for you to move employee satisfaction from the current 60 to 65, one of the things is that you need to implement the recommendation of the past employee satisfaction survey. So you need to go and check in the last employee satisfaction survey, what were the recommendations? The recommendations, one was that employees are not happy with the medical scheme that we offer. So that is a source of dissatisfaction. So for us to implement that, we need to see what is it that we do. Those are the initiatives. The next thing is that we need to respond 100% response to employee issues. So when employees report their issues, you need to record and you need to uh, work, sort all employees' issues. Then thirdly, maybe another initiative, you say you need to adhere to 100% of your SLA. SLA is the service level agreement. So if a staff reports to your office an issue, within what period should you handle it? So some people talk about 3 days. So all the issues that you received in the year, you received 100 issues, complaints from staff. How many of them were resolved? 90 of them. Within what period? Averagely, we took 10 days. So are we really making our employees do? So those initiatives will drive the objective. So if you work on these objectives, it moves the employee satisfaction. So if you do the three things, what I've said, then the next period you are undertaking an employee satisfaction survey, you are likely to see a change. Then the next thing is the weight. So every objective must be assigned a weight. So that employee satisfaction, for instance, what weight does it have on your PC? That has to be clear. Next slide. Yes, so the issue of the performance indicator, the metric. So you need to have the KPIs clear, as we have said. The key productivity index. So as we have talked about the productivity. So when you do your calculation, you come up with an index. So you move your productivity from this index to the next. That is how you improve your productivity. Then the issue of cross-cutting. Cross-cutting are these objectives that apply to almost all staff. So you will find them in almost every performance contract. For instance, the leave management. So if you want to ensure that you adhere to the leave policy. So if your policy says you should not cross with more than 10 days in a year, so that becomes a cross-cutting that appears in every staff. So each and every person knows that if I don't go for leave, I am going to lose this kind of marks. Of course, as you move along, as your performance management, as you develop a high performance culture, some of these things fade away. They become BAUs. BAUs are business as usual, so that you now replace them with other cross-cutting objectives that might emerge. And then, of course, you know about the job description, and then the issue of work plan. So work plan or implementation matrix, we call it IM. Once you have your objectives clear, for instance, I said you want to recruit 30 engineers. So in your work plan, spread across the 12 months and say, what are you going to do in January? Maybe January you are going to get user requirements. So you are going to sit with the head of production or head of maintenance to give you the requirements of the kind of people they want. Then maybe you need approval as per your policy that for whenever you want to do some recruitment, there has to be approval from the CEO. So maybe in the month of February, you are getting approval. Then after the approval, when are you doing the advertisement? When are you shortlisting? When are you interviewing? When are you giving the offer letter? When are you inducting? When are they signing their performance contract? That has to be in a work plan. So that every month when we monitor, we say that in the month of February, so you committed to do the advertisement. Were the advertisement done for the engineers in the month of April as per your implementation matrix? Then you say yes or no. So a work plan is very, very important in coming up with a high performance culture, because it makes you, it holds you accountable that whatever I plan to do in January, did I do it in January as per my commitment? Next slide. Yeah, so we talk about the philosophy, performance management philosophy. We are talking about the what. The what. What is it that you set to achieve for this particular year? I have set to recruit 30 engineers in this particular year. That is the what. So the what, the how. So the how is the what we talk about, the integrity part of it. Or if a salesperson commits to bring in 30 million, and then they fake the performance, they can tell people to sign some contract and say they will we will supply this to these people. So in your dashboard, you have sold this, you have sold this, but in reality, they take the products. Later, people return, or somebody says there was a wrong order. So the how is very, very important. How is a philosophy of performance. You don't fake performance. You don't manipulate performance. That I did this, but you double it. Yeah, some people will tell you, can you just place an order so that I'm seen to have performed? But the day of delivery, you just say that you are not available, or the person who ordered, so can you push it to next month? So that month you are seen like you have sold, when literally you have not sold anything. The how of the performance. Then finally is the impact. The impact is that if you commit to a given implementation matrix, I've seen most people closing if the year is ending in June, most people start to wake up in May and April. So if you committed to recruit 30 salespeople or 20 salespeople for a marketing manager who has been given a higher target, so you promise that, oh, don't worry, The higher target means you need more salespeople. I'm going to recruit for you. So you recruit in May, the people report in June, and that is the end of the performance cycle. So the HR thinks that I've recruited the 20 salespeople, but to the marketing manager, you have recruited towards at the tail end of the performance cycle. So the impact is not there. So performance management is primary. High performance culture must be premise in a philosophy that we have to know what we want to do. How do we do it without any form of manipulation or criminality, and the impact that we do it, your impact impacts on another person. Your objective impacts on another person. Your action or inaction impacts on another person. So that is why the impact is very, very important. So if you commit to do something in January, don't do it in December and score yourself 100% because the impact has been watered down. If you want to build a high performance culture, it is not about it was done. It was when was it done? Very, very important. So next. Yes, so the process here is you start by doing your contracting process. And I said everyone, 100% of the people must. At some slide there, I'm going to show you some of the compliance levels. 100%. If you are 3,000, 3,000 of the people must have the performance contract because that is the only basis upon which you are going to hold people accountable and have them to have a high performance culture. Then the issue of monitoring and reporting, you have to monitor it depends on certain organization. When I was at the bakery at Ken Blessed Foods, we were monitoring on a daily basis. So if you take 200 crates to Chuka, at the end of the day, we want to see three things. Have you sold the bread 100%? Have you brought the money 100%? And have you brought the crates? And have you come back in time? Those four areas. We are monitoring on a vision board daily basis. So you don't wait for after a week and say, by the way, on Monday you went to Chuka and you had returns of 50. Why? And you had 200. You returned 50 crates. Why? You wait for that person and discuss it today. Then you report how the dashboard, how we are performing in terms of our bread sales and all that. Then the issue of evaluation, the appraisal and the validation. So you undertake an evaluation. I'm happy the guy from Coca-Cola is saying they are now reducing it to quarterly. Yeah, as we are doing monthly evaluation. Of course, not for the individuals, but for the departments. So each and every department, we monitor and do an evaluation on and a validation exercise on a monthly basis. Validation, as I told you, is once you carry out your appraisal, we need to counter check and ask ourselves what you are reporting. Is it true? Somebody can be performing at 110%, but the organization is at 60. So how are they doing that? Of course, there are certain outliers where that is possible, but we need just to confirm. Then the issue of consequence management. Every performance, if you want to instill a high performance culture, every appraisal and a validation exercise must have a consequence. Those who have performed, we use the carrot and the stick approach. So those who have performed are rewarded. Those who have not must be subjected to some form of the stick. If you don't do that, you will never achieve a high performance culture. A high performance culture is created by an environment where people know that my performance means something. I perform, yes, I am rewarded. I don't, it has a consequence. So I had people asking, how do you create a high performance culture? If performance doesn't mean anything, let me forget about it. People say, oh, the HR people have told us to fill those forms of theirs. Then it is filled, it is packaged somewhere, they present and say, oh, okay, that is okay. Put it in the wardrobe, your folder there, HR folder, performance appraisal 2023. This is the folder. Then you move to 2024. If you do not take action for performance or lack of performance, you will never be able to develop a high performance culture. Then the issue of appeals, you need to allow employees who are dissatisfied with their performance rating to come out and appeal and say, you have rated me 80%. From what I signed and my achievement, I have done more than this. When I was at Bamburi Cement, and one of the things I was to do, I was to close and implement two collective bargaining agreements. And I did the two of them, ensured that the collective bargaining agreements were registered. I first took them to CPMU, then to the Employment and Labor Relations Court, and they were registered. I had the certificate of registration, and we implemented the new wages, and I had evidence. Then somebody is giving me zero in that. I felt, I just said, you don't make noise. And somebody was also asking, how do you ensure that you have a productive performance feedback or a performance discussion? Performance discussion, if you want it to be uh, useful, is to remove emotions from it. Ask yourself, what did you sign to achieve? What have you achieved? And where is the evidence of achievement? Very simple. I contracted to negotiate, register, and implement two collective bargaining agreements. One was for um, the uh, the Kenya Chemical Workers Union, and the other one was Kenya Plantation Agricultural Workers Union. I did all of them, negotiated, took the entire process. I have the certificate of registration for the Employment and Labor Relations Court. I've implemented and people have received their salaries. Why do you score me a zero unless you're looking for something else? So when I put that, and then they said, by the way, here we cannot give you a zero. So it was given 100%. So you need to allow people to appeal if they are dissatisfied with their performance ratings. And that is how you develop a high performance culture. I have you don't just give me whatever you think. Like people come and say, come here, you cannot score over 60, take 60. No, it is what did I commit to do, what have I done about it, and what is the evidence of performance. Period. The productive, and you don't have to make stories, you don't have to love somebody's face, you don't have to tell them how they talked badly last year. No, this is what I committed, this is what I have achieved, with a narrative of what I have achieved, and that is what I wrote. I committed to negotiate, sign, and implement two collective bargaining agreements. That is for Kenya Chemical Allied Workers Union and also the Kenya Plantation Agricultural Workers Union. I did this. We had this kind of number of discussions, meetings, and I have attached the negotiation minutes. Here is the registration certificate, and in the payroll of this month, this was fully implemented. I did the calculations and sent to payroll, and this was implemented. What is it that is pending for me to be scored a zero? It was a very tough discussion, but I won it because it was very objective. Next slide. Yeah, so when you want to undertake a performance contracting, this is the procedure. The supervisor and the employee, you have an engagement and say, this is what we want to achieve. So allow people to challenge. Don't just say, you got, Greg, you can hear me? Am I still audible? Greg? Greg, you
Yes, I
can hear
can hear
me?
you. Yes, you are audible.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. So
Thank you.
I'm left with how many minutes?
Carry on, Alanda. This topic is very interesting. Even if I was to remain alone,
Uh,
I am here to learn, man. So carry on. Hit it on the nail.
okay, thank you so much. So the supervisor sits with the employee to agree on the target. So if the sales this year we did 10 million, you don't just tell me this year I want to do 20 million. People, you have to have a discussion and say, what is it that has happened in this region that will make me to move from 10 million to 20 million? Are you adding more people? Are you, what is it that has changed? Then, secondly, the employee to develop individual PC. So you say, based on our discussion, develop your PC, assuming we are using a balance, a BSc, and with the perspective. So we have agreed on our targets. I develop the PC. Then thirdly, what I do is that we consult. This is what you've done. Your supervisor reviews. After reviewing that, sign off. Then the fourth thing that happens is that the documentation of the individual monitoring tools. So every month, this is what we'll be monitoring. And then the performance management system, because you need to have a system behind this. So even the setting of the targets can be done on the system. This appraisal, this monitoring can be done on the system. And then finally, there is the approval process where the supervisor reviews and approves the performance contract in the system. And by the way, this is not cast on stone. So that means that the entire process can be repeated. Sometimes you can adjust if you see there's a lot of potential in a given year. If some extraordinary things happens that you are unable to meet the target, we cannot say that you cannot reduce or review the target. It is possible, provided that it is done in good time. I saw somebody writing to me uh, 2 weeks to the end of the financial uh, period to review a target. I said, no, this is no. You're just trying to escape going into a PIP. If you knew that you were not going to genuinely, this was not possible, you need to, and I've put that in the policy. The policy is clear on when can you amend your performance contract. So you need to have a performance management policy and a procedure on how this is done. How do I amend my PC? Do I just sit down and say I'm amending this? What period is given that I can amend my PC? Next slide, Greg. Yeah, so the performance reporting, and that is why you have to have your data analytics team that gives you the data. So you don't have to struggle. Sometimes we do not make actions. We don't have a high performance culture because we do not know. You need to be waking up and asking yourself, can you go to the dashboard and see how every department is doing? How was your production last night? Yeah. How was the revenue? So you just wake up and say, oh, our revenue is this, something is wrong. Our production is this, issue of incidents, accidents. So that reporting is very, very. So when you meet, you discuss performance. You don't discuss people. You don't say this girl comes here wearing short skirts. No, no. Say what have they brought in? We were to bring 5 million yesterday. What happened? We are at 3 million. Can you call people, you follow up, tell the supervisor, like this a day when I was at Ken Bless and this guy comes from Nakuru where he had gone with 350 crates. Then he brings me 100 crates returned. You, there was fireworks. You have to question things. Yesterday we did this. How comes one day we are bringing back 100 crates? What is it that you did that you never did, or what is it that you never did that this? So that discussion has to happen here and now. That is, so when you meet, it is performance. That is the culture. How this is how we do here. You know, we don't talk about people. We talk about what have you done. Yeah, we don't talk about this tribe is like this. No, we talk about what has this lady brought. She committed to do this. What has she done? We don't care about a tribe, a religion, and all that. What has she brought on board? Next slide, Greg. Yeah, so some of the tools, somebody asked about the tools. So you need to have, okay, I've put here balance scorecard, but some people have OKR, the OKR, MBOs, depending on the kind of tool that you are using. You need to have the BSC or the OKR or the MBO, depending on what your organization is using. Then the job description should be aligned to what, so somebody should not be a driver, but you look at the KPI, he has been given roles that is supposed to be played by a production manager. Somebody is an officer in the field, but now contracting to build a police station. Yeah. The implementation matrix is very, I told you about implementation matrix or a work plan. For every objective, have a work plan, and that will help you in monitoring. So you spread them all from every month, all these objectives, when are they supposed to be done? Yeah, even that revenue, you cannot bring the 20 million in 1 month. So you divide it the first month, January, and then because you have the statistics of how the months behave, there are certain peak months. So those peak months are given higher revenue targets. The low seasons are given lower revenue targets. And then at the end of the year, you have met your target. Then there is the appraisal template. Is it the appraisal template? Somebody read. I think something is blocking for me. This, yes, the KPI document template, and then the next is maybe you can move it up a bit. The no, the last yes, the KPI monitoring. So in KPI document template, so in KPI, you can take like 6 items. Yeah. Revenue is this. Cost saving, this is what you have committed. Stakeholder engagement, how many number of engagements? Maybe 10. Then you monitor and ask yourself, on your key performance indicators, are you tracking them? At the end of the year, you are to do 10 engagements, employee engagements. Have you done the 10 engagements? Then you can monitor that. So all these documents help you in managing your performance. And it can really, you just go into your KPI monitoring and ask yourself, like, what was it that I was supposed to do in this month or this quarter? And you check, have you really done it? So when you're having a discussion, you are not talking about what you are thinking about. So you meet your CEO, it's like, no, I'm not feeling HR, I'm not feeling a, no. It's not about feeling or not feeling HR. What did we commit to do? Yeah, we committed that we are going to recruit this number of staff to boost our production. Have we recruited? Or according to our implementation matrix, what have we done so far? You are able to explain. So your discussion is centered on performance. And that is the concept behind high performance culture. So somebody does not call you and they are angry and like, I'm not seeing you around here. I'm not feeling you. Staff are not feeling you. No. We committed to improve our employee satisfaction from 60 to 65. What are we doing about it? We said that we are going to implement Recommendations of the last employee satisfaction survey. Correct. What are they? These are the 5 things. What have we done about the 5 things? This is what we have done. And remember, this one I came, you are saying there is no budget. So what do we do? That is a performance-driven discussion yields to a high performance culture. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So this is the BSc, which is premised on 4 perspectives. So you have the organizational perspective, you have the business perspective, the customer, and the financial perspective. And you see, all of these must speak to your strategy. If you are moving, in your strategy, you are saying that you are moving, you are opening a new branch, or you are onboarding a new system, so that your system is, your operations are fully automated. That is a business perspective objective. So it has to be put there. Business, any automation of your processes falls under business. Any capacity building, or what you call, like, if you want to say that everyone must have their performance contract, you have to ensure that 100% of your staff contract. That is under organizational perspective. You go to customer, and customer is not only those who are dealing with the sales and the customer service and all that. You find that, like, the core, there's something that I think I needed also to talk about, that in all this perspective, there is what is core to you. So HR, you will realize that your objectives is under customer. Yeah. The sales team will have their core on financial perspective and a bit on customer, and then so depending on the weight. So we say that your core is that perspective that has the highest weight. That is your core. So this is how balanced scorecard operates. You have to put your objectives in each and every perspective. So you don't just lump them up. Yeah. Like, if I want to ensure that I undertake sensitization for 5,000 staff, that is under my customer. Yeah. And then I list the initiatives, and then I give it weight. And sometimes I've also realized, if you are not contributing, if your role is not contributing anything financial, it is not right just to fix that I want every perspective to have something. Yeah. So you find that HR, you are told to also, financial perspective must have something, unless you are clear and saying that this is, you want to undertake a cost saving measure, so that your budget for the year is 200 million, and you are committing to save 10% of the employee cost, and you know how you are, and you are clear on how you are going to do that, so that at the end of the year you are given a budget of 200 million, but you can save 10%. If you are able to do that with clear initiatives, then you list it down, and you are able to measure at the end of the year, say that we set with a budget of 200 million, and because of the following, I have managed to save this cost by 10%. And this is what I did. Very, very, and you have evidence. You are given 10 million for recruitment, you have saved 10%. You have been given 20 million for medical premiums. This is what you have done, and therefore this is the saving that you have done, you have made for the organization. Then next, yes, the appraisal and validation, I said about having a discussion with your supervisor on how you, and the discussion for you to always succeed. Never have the discussion outside your performance contract and the corresponding achievement. Again, something very important is that you should never give yourself arbitrary score that you just fill in and say, by the way, I'm here at 80%. So there's a lady I was undertaking a validation exercise for. She had committed to do 3 OSRs. OSR is own source revenue strategy for some 3 counties. When we were doing the validation, because she had been appraised by her department, she had only done 1 county, and even that 1 county, it was 80% complete. But she insisted on getting 100%. And I asked her a very simple question. You committed to do 3 own source revenue strategies for the 3 county governments, correct? Yes. You have only done 1 county, which is this. Yes. And even this 1 county you have done, it is still not yet complete. The year has ended, but you are still talking about you need to close this with the governor, correct? Yes. But why are you rewarding yourself 100%? You know, I've put in a lot of effort. I've met the governors 20 times. When people start to explain non-performance, you are headed to failure. Performance is you signed to go to Kisumu. Don't tell us how you took the vehicle to the mechanic. Oh, I took the vehicle to the mechanic. I went and did shopping. And now I'm in Naivasa. Look at that. Look at this. Look at the effort I did. I took the vehicle to the mechanic. The mechanic took time. I'm telling you, the vehicle is now very efficient. But the question is, where are you? Where are you? I'm in Naivasa, but you know. So a performance discussion that is supposed to take 30 minutes, and like we took 6 hours, and until I had to cut it short. When people have a way of explaining how they never manage to perform, you can never have a high performance culture. This is what I committed. I committed to be in Kisumu. I am in Kisumu, correct? Here is the evidence. I'm in Kisumu, correct? But I did this, and now I'm in Naivasa. So because of this effort, I think I need to get 100%. Those discussions can suck your energy. Forget about those discussions. Do not allow, if you want to have a high performance culture, do not allow people to explain their lack of performance. Then you are happy. Oh, by the way, he has really tried. But is in Naivasa. Nako hiyo direction ya kwenda Kisumu. You will never. Figures don't lie. If you are strong, you don't have to explain yourself. The issue of subordinate capture. So you are doing a validation exercise, but because this is somebody who knows somebody, I cannot put them to get a score that will take them to PIP. So let me just help them to no. So those you need to do away with subordinate capture and bring on board objectivity that eliminates subjectivity. Next slide. Yes, consequence management. I said that unless you take action, so if somebody is supposed to go for their performance improvement plan, enroll them in that program 100%, enroll them into the program. So you take consequence when people give arbitrary scoring. Arbitrary scoring is where you give a score without supporting evidence. So, oh, you are at 80, you are at 90. But every objective that you score must have a narrative on how it was achieved and the corresponding evidence of the achievement. If that is not there, forget about the scores. Whenever you give a score, that score must be supported. If the weight is 30, did you do everything in that objective to score 30? Can I have evidence? Yes. Arbitrary scoring. So When you take action on your supervisors for giving arbitrary scores, you will never get such arbitrary scoring again. And your policies should be clear on what should you do to people who give individual employees and their supervisors who deliberately give you arbitrary scores. They're telling you they're at 100% when they are at 70. What should you do? When you do that, you create a culture of high performance so that I know whenever I am reviewing my direct reports performance, I am sure I have seen the evidence of performance. Next slide. Yes, so the performance management policies would give you on how to handle uh, 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 appeals. How do you undertake validation? How do you vacate? You know, vacations happen when people have successfully completed their performance improvement program. So once you complete your performance improvement program, what is the procedure and the policy on vacations? How do you reward people who have performed well? That has to be in the policy. How do you undertake promotion so that every promotion should be preceded by a performance exercise and ensuring that before we promote you, we need to check your record of performance. So that becomes a basis of promotion. When you do that, then we are moving towards the culture of high performance. I'm seeing my bring for me the charger. I'm seeing my power going low a bit. Yes, next slide. Yes, the emerging issues, the issue of exemptions. Okay, these are still policy areas. So what are some of the exemptions? Who should be exempted from performance contract? That should be there. If somebody is on sick off, somebody is on maternity leave over a period of time, somebody is on a sabbatical leave, somebody is on suspension, such people should be exempted from, if somebody is on secondment, such like. Then employees returning to work. So if you are away and returning to work, what period should you undertake your performance contract or performance appraisal? The secondment, when should you amend your PC and how? Who should approve so that people don't just sit down and amend their performance contracts? What about employees undergoing life events while at the same time serving PIP? Somebody's on a PIP program and they have lost their close relative. So there has to be some human in the performance, the human face in performance. So you could even defer some, just allow somebody has lost a spouse, they're on a PIP. You just defer the PIP until they are back to their senses and then you move on.
CS, move closer to the mic again.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, that's
Am I
better.
okay, thank you so much. So the next slide. Yes, so performance consequence management, we talked about this, that unless performance has a consequence, people will never take it seriously and you never achieve that culture. Next slide. Next slide. Yes, I've just given how you do your rating. So, and this should be clear on your policy, the rating protocol. What is your rating protocol? What does excellent mean? What does on track, developing, not meeting? So you need to agree yourself that when somebody scores 100%, what does it mean? When you score below 100, but maybe between 90 and 100, between 80 to 90, and below 70, for instance, what does it mean? So that at the beginning of the period, I know if I score 70, I am on PIP. You don't set the score, the rating protocol at the end of the period. So people know if I score at 80, I meet and exceed expectation. That is excellent. If I do 90, I'm on track. If I do say 80%, I am on the performance watch. performance watch means you are not, but you are, like 89, and you only need the one mark to be at 90. So that is somebody who is not. So you just put them on a watch on a shorter period of time. But when you are on a performance improvement plan, it means your performance is so bad that you need to turn around your performance in order to come back to the good books. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, the issue of non-compliance with contracting and appraisal timelines. So if people don't contract within the timelines you have given and they do not carry appraisals within the timelines given, you need to take action. And that shows you how we have managed. So in 2021, my compliance with appraisal was 98. So that then you act on the not 2%. It was a serious thing. In 2022, the contracting was 92%. So I had to follow the 8%. Because of instilling a culture of high performance. See what has happened 2022, 2023, 100% compliance, both contracting and appraisal, and 2023, 2024, my compliance is 100%, both for contracting and appraisal. So this is what a high culture means. You see, you don't struggle with people, you don't push people to, you don't write memos, you don't follow people on the corridors. You give your guidelines and appraisal guidelines, and the people deliver. You don't push people for faking performance. They are already, the culture is there. The culture is we do not cheat on our performance. This is what you have gotten. I cannot go around it. So next slide on, I think there's an assignment that I needed to give. Then the issue of performance improvement plan management, our policy, depending on your policy. So some organizations do 3 months, as we do 6 months. Within the 6 months, you're supposed to sign a commitment of what you're supposed to do. You sign a performance improvement plan. There's a plan, and every month you send your report. We validate until at the end of it, you seek either a vacation or you are taken for further disciplinary measures in the event that you fail the program. Then the next final one, I need to finish in the next 10 minutes. So what are some of the benefits? When you have a high performance culture, every staff is accountable. And I saw this in Bamburi Cement in 2015. We increased our production from 940,000 tons to 1 million. What this meant is that we improved 60 tons, and that what 60 tons meant was that we gave the organization 342 million extra without injecting additional cash. That tells you what performance is able to do. At Ken Blessed, when I joined, they were doing 50,000 crates, and I was leaving, they were doing 90,000 crates, among others, among other benefits. So this, if you put this into figures, it was a huge improvement in terms of the figure. In West Kenya, we did a lot of cane development and supply from 3,500 tons in a day to 5,000 tons daily, just by having people to on a high performance culture. So that tells you that with a high performance culture, this is what you are able to achieve as an organization. And then finally, we go to the assignment that I wanted you to do. And that assignment may be, or just a bit about the emerging issues. It's about litigations that are around performance management and how we address them. I also have a whole topic on the various case laws from the Employment and Labor Relations Code that are specifically addressing separations based on performance, performance-related separations. How do you transfer to new roles for staff serving PIP? Failure to follow performance policies and procedures in consequence management. Failure to align performance management procedures with employment and other statutory frameworks. The question is, have you sensitized your staff on performance management policies and procedures? You find that you just draft those policies and you leave them somewhere there. And then, Greg, next, I'm looking towards the assignment, the individual assignment, which I want you to read for them, because I want this team that is hearing me here to take a role in the organization. So you have the top management, middle level, and so you take just 3 roles, for instance, and then you come up with their performance contracts. We would want to see that in every perspective, organizational perspective. What have you put as objective? And in each and every objective, you put like at least 3 initiatives. Yeah, and then the total weight should be 100%. Then we can discuss whether such a contract is aligned, is it smarter, is it specific, is it time bound, is it realistic, is it aligned to the objective? Very, very important. So with this and many, many more, I can speak performance for a whole night. Sorry for that. When I get into performance, I go deeper and reach wider because this is a culture. It's not, it's like you don't fight with the people. When you talk about a high performance culture, everybody accounts because employees don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. With that, all that, I give it back to Greg. Yes, I'm sorry for keeping you for all that long.
Oh, thank you so much, Buena CS. I think for me, I've been taking notes and I've taken a whole book. I'm really grateful for the knowledge that you've shared. Indeed, we will never outdo learning. And so for me this evening, a good 1 hour was well utilized. And I'm happy that you brought in an assignment. It's like we spoke about it. I had promised the team that the best way to learn is when we go back with an assignment and we actually go and do it literally. And the form, I'm so happy with the assignment you've given. We will actually leave them with 2. So that is one. I will say one more. I want to humbly request you take 2 questions because of time. Then we will call it a day. Mr. Bad, if you are there, you come back on the backstage. So I'll bring you on to make your final comment. So you will take 2 questions. So I will look at the first 2 questions that were raised. I think you've talked about what is considered as high performance, strategies for building high performance. Leah's question, maybe take Leah's question. The question was, how do you move an existing organization from a status of average performance to high performance without getting backlash? Let me bring you back to stage. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Status quo. And one of the things is that this is not something that you can do alone as the HR and say that I want to do this. So the top management must first be with you, that this is the journey we want to walk. And in this journey, you must introduce the change in a way that people don't fight you back. Let people understand that this is the journey we want to walk, and we must walk it together. We are not fighting anyone. If we perform, all of us are going to benefit. So the top management must buy this support. You need to move and sell the idea to your staff. So you are not pushing them into this, but this is for their own benefit. So if you just want to go and in a month you want to say that we are this, and then you will be fought back. So have the backing of the top management, have the backing of your staff. To organizations that have unions that are resistant, usually, I got that in 10 place. Call the union leadership and sit with them down. We are not here because one of the things the people tell you that you are finding a way of firing us. Say we are not here to fire anyone. We want to turn around this organization for the benefit of all of us. And this is what we are going to do. We sit down and agree this is what we want to achieve. So some people say, you know, we are grown up, you cannot come here just to sit down. No, people don't do what you expect, they do what you expect. And therefore, you have to agree that this is what we want to achieve. So that change sometimes very hard. So you cannot drive it alone as from HR that you want to drive a culture of change. It has to be the heads of departments must buy it so that they are your ambassadors, you are your change agents. You hold town halls, you answer questions. You know, if people are worried, you came here as HR, you want to fire us because of that performance. That is not what you want to achieve. You want to turn around the performance of it, and you can only do it when you move together as a team. So sell your idea, sell your concept to your staff, sell your concept to the top leadership so that people move together. Let them understand what it means. Let them, your leaders, understand this tool is going to help you. I remember some of the heads of departments telling me that I don't have to follow anyone to call anyone. We have signed a contract, everybody is responsible. So it is even a very easy tool of managing their staff. Just sit down and agree, this is what I want at the end of it. So if you want to go and sleep at the beach, please do so, but I want to see this result. When I call you tomorrow, I want to see these sales. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, CS. We'll pick the last one, and this is from Emily. I know Emily, if I'm not wrong, she's joined a new organization, and therefore she has a question around that. I don't want to be unfair to her. What's the difference between success and performance? Question mark. I would have said full stop, but let me just say question mark. And how do you measure success, stroke performance for a new organization? Question mark.
Okay, you know, success can be measured differently. You are asking yourself, like for instance, if we close the year, you know, in success, you just want to see some improvement and say, oh, if we manage to go through the year without this and all that, we are successful. The difference between success and performance is that performance is what you set at the beginning of the year to achieve, and therefore you measure the achievement, the actual achievement versus the set target. That is performance. We have set to bring on board revenue of 20 million. At the end of the year, we have brought 25 million. Therefore, we have performed. Success says that we need to improve our performance. So you say that, oh, last year we were at 10 million, this year we are at 11. So I think we are successful. With all the things, the challenges in the economy and all that, we are here. So we are successful. We are successful because, you know, we are still considered as a good company. We are employer of choice, so we are successful. So you can attach anything to success depending on where we sit. The only difference with performance is that this is what we are set to do, and this is what we have achieved, and therefore we have performed. You can be successful without performing. That is also another difference. So we consider ourselves a successful company, but we are not performing. Thank you, and back to you, Greg.
Oh, thank you, CS. I'll read 3 comments. One is from Winnie. Winnie says the key concepts on high performance culture have been well articulated in a simple and applicable manner. Thank you, CS JAPHETH ALANDE, for finding time to prepare and deliver this stellar presentation. Choice of words, she has used the word stellar presentation. I know where you come from. English is the only word, and therefore the word is the only language, rather. The word chosen there, stellar, speaks to your heart. One Dominic is works with FEA, so if I believe very soon he will be giving you one of the vehicles locally made in Kenya. He says Alande deserves the CS title before his name. This gentleman oozes wisdom. I can't read the word oozes because of where I come from, so forgive me. I will type it and send it, Naftal, the only problem with Naftal, I never want to read what he has written because he will always find a way of putting in some English words to malign my speech. But I'll read what he has said. He said, great presentation and meticulously articulated by the cream of or in the industry. Thanks, yes, always a pleasure. And finally, Leah Wangari. Leah Wangari is an educationist leading one of the biggest institutions in education in Mombasa. She says an insightful session with an in-depth breakdown of performance management. Thanks, yes, Alande, with 2 claps, so I will give. Alande, you've done well. You've done justice to the topic today. If you are near here, I will have run after this chicken looking at me and just given you life. Unfortunately, you are 500 kilometers away from me, but we celebrate you. We appreciate you. We treasure you. I look forward to you coming again so that you can pick on another topic. I know you are very good in industrial relations. It's an area you can break down into pieces and just share wisdom. I know years to come, we will have helped people and they will be changing organizations and where they are. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of the entire team Alande, we say thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you, not only with money, but with children also, and everything that your heart desires. To the
Thank
team, yeah, to the team, you are not going scot-free. You have 2 assignments. One is those working in organizations, please pick this assignment and do it, and then share back through our platform. And those who don't have organizations, reach out so that we attach you to an organization for you to put this into practice, such that we do justice to the 1 or 2 hours that we've covered. So he said you pick on 3 roles, you work on the objectives, at least 3 initiatives with the measures, and then I will be speaking to him to find out when he's available. So we'll spend time just looking at whether the objectives are smarter, or they deserve some panel beating. The final assignment that I want to give you, which I humbly request that we give tomorrow, go back to the group and drop what key actions you want to implement from this session. And like I said, if you don't have an organization to work on, don't worry, reach out so that we can be able to support you accordingly. I want to take this time to sincerely thank all of you, to appreciate you for coming through. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the 3 faculty members who are already with us. That is Dominic Matheka from AVA, Faren from Coca-Cola, Nairobi, and Naftal from the tourism industry. The last person who joined we will be going for a holiday in Taita Taveta, and she will actually be hosting us that side as part of the punishment for coming in late. I want to wish you a good and wonderful evening. Next week, on Monday, we will be listening to a gentleman called Samuel Kariuki, who is currently working with Linton's Tea in Kericho. So prepare yourselves. Let's spend an hour on Monday. With all those remarks, I wish you a very, very beautiful night ahead. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Bye-bye.